Good morning, everyone, and welcome to, it's been a long time, where's everyone been? Our 10th anniversary. So as you can see, the balloons, 10 years of our LinkedIn group, so we are celebrating success in many ways at this year's event. So just a welcome note, massive thank you to all of the sponsors, and do make a point of visiting them at their stands today. Big thank you especially to K&L Gates, who is our lead sponsor and facilitating this such a fantastic event today. We generally have a theme. We try and have a theme, and the theme of this year's conference, when we originally scripted this back in 2020, it was going to be called Celebrating Success. So we kept the same name, but just added the strap line, even in the face of diversity, and we'll be discussing those today. And as we said, 10 years. So 2011 was when the group was first set up. So that is a real sort of celebration for this conference. And we've got a cake. You might have seen it. So we'll be cutting the cake at the first break as well. And we've even got gluten-free cupcakes, just so everyone is catered for. So at the first break, we'll celebrate our 10th anniversary. Well, it's been quite a few years. And I should go back one, sorry. Matthew Smith was due to be opening the presentation for K&L's Gates, as he normally would today, but he was called off to Doha for a few days. Not a holiday, it was work, so unfortunately he couldn't be with us today. So normally he'd do this opening address, and then I'd just have a bit of a catch-up on what's happened since the last time we've been together. I couldn't really think what's happened much. Well, we had this little thing, didn't we? So COVID, and that cancelled our conference. When we booked it in 2020, a lot of you registered, and then we had to cancel, not really a surprise. And obviously massively affected us. We couldn't see anyone, we couldn't go to work, some of us. We couldn't even socialise and have a beer together. Well, some of us couldn't, but some seemed to find a way through. It's affected all of our construction projects, particularly in the early days in 2020, and affected and still affecting material availability. We've seen incredible price hikes, and also affected our sort of physical and mental well-being, both personally and professionally. But he has taught us a few lessons, and I think Matthew's going to pick up on that this morning, has taught us a few lessons which has probably changed our industry forever. Just with GMH planning, who'd have thought it, that people could actually do a whole day of training on MS Teams and actually survive, and actually, at the end of it, actually still be enthused. If we'd have asked clients 2.5 years ago, do you want to do a session on Teams? It would be, no, that doesn't work. But now we're kind of settling into it's going to be sort of 50-50. You can't beat meeting people face-to-face and training and engaging on that level, but it does work, and a whole day's training does actually work, and that's how we switched and still been able to keep people's training going over the last couple of years. In addition to COVID, we've seen Brexit, we've seen the war in Ukraine, cost of living increase, spiralling material prices, all putting unprecedented pressure on our industry. And I think that word is used too lightly sometimes, but it really is the case. This is unprecedented times that we have been experiencing. But today, we're going to explore how we work through that and what success we've still been able to achieve during all of those problems. I wanted just to commemorate and just really share. You've probably seen, but just in memoriam, Dr. Martin Barnes sadly passed away earlier this year, peacefully in his sleep, thankfully, 83, and he was aged 83, and he was a real instigator of the NEC contracts. When it was first commissioned back in 1985, he was leading the way and developing the project team there in all things NEC. He was a really interesting character, a very lovely man, a very dry sense of humour, and I certainly enjoyed the sessions I've been able to share a stage with Martin over the years. One of my favourite comments when Martin died, there was various people commenting, and it described that Martin had passed away, and someone pointed out Martin would have wanted the word died, because it was much more clear, succinct, to the point. Rest in peace, Martin. There is a lot to celebrate. Within our LinkedIn group, it was created way back in 2011 with Chris Woodbridge. I set the group up in early 2011, and it's seen a growth of a group and quality of discussions. And we held our very first conference back in June 2011. I don't know if this is going to work, and I kind of regret doing this anyway. I actually found the videos from our very first conference, and this was back in Centrepoint. It's very important to have the legal perspective. Yeah, let's not have too much of that. It's pretty depressing, isn't it, looking at a video of yourselves 10 years ago, even 3 years ago. Some of you look a little older, a little greyer, a little portlier, some of you. Yeah, it's not good looking at videos 10 years old. I did go through the list on that original conference, and these people were all at the original conference. Stand up, please, if your name's on that list. Just stand up if your name's on that list. It's a very rare band, and in fact, there was a guy who was on the list this morning who pulled out only yesterday. Yeah, it's a very elite band. So thank you to the 7 of you. You could take a seat now. So the diehards who've been at the very first conference and everyone since. But there's a lot of new faces this year, so we're very pleased to welcome the new faces to our conference. In terms of our LinkedIn group, we've had, since the last conference, another 2,845 people who have joined us since the last conference, taking us very close to 10,000 members. And this is by far now the biggest NEC discussion forum in the industry. And our 9,000th member was Emma Champagne. Now, is Emma here? Raise your hand if you are. She was due to come. I don't know if she's here yet. Okay, hopefully she's on her way. But Emma is due to be here as well. So she was our 9,000th member. At the time, she was a trainee QS and already elevated to an assistant QS, having had such valuable discussions in our LinkedIn group. And we're very fast approaching our 10th 1,000th member. I'll be looking out for you lot, trying to, your mums or your wives trying to join around 10,000. I'm ready for you, okay? So we'll make sure it's a genuine member who we celebrate as our 10th, 1,000th member. But that's our group, and if you're not in it, please join it. It's a fantastic forum and a really good way of sharing good practice, canvassing opinions on contractual matters, challenging understanding of specific individual clauses, and all in a very constructive, encouraging environment. So we really do want people to be using the group. Take advantage of it. It's a fantastic facility with very engaging, like-minded individuals. Seeker is one of the sponsors who've joined our conference this year, and as I'm sure you're aware, Civil Engineering Contractors Association. And with Seeker, I've been working with them for just over 2.5 years now, doing a fair bit of training for them, but we've set up some joint initiatives as well. And one of those initiatives is we started last year doing some monthly bulletins. And each month we pick on an aspect of NEC and we sort of promote it. And it's normally a 2-page guide of a certain aspect of the contract. So the latest one here is number 18. It's about clause 63.5 and assessing a compensation event against the last accepted programme. So since last January, we've been doing one each month. Out of interest, just raise your hand if you've read any of them. Don't feel you've got to raise your hand. I won't be upset if you haven't. Anyone? Oh, fair splattering. For the rest of you, you can download them from the GMH Planning website, or if you go to the Seeker stand, which is next to mine, we've printed off a few examples of some of the bulletins, so you can obviously take those away with you today. So there's an example of some of them, and one of them is to do with a topic Bob's going to be talking about today as well, in terms of behavioural stuff and what it means to work in a spirit of mutual trust and cooperation. We've also, GMH Planning, we've been trying to work more closely with universities sort of over the last couple of years as well. Personally, I've been supporting Westminster University with a number of guest lectures for their students, and also become an external examiner for their construction project management team. And this semester, I've run an 8-week programme for Leeds University. We'll be doing evening lectures for a couple of hours, and again, just taking NEC back to sort of first principles. And it's really important, I think, that as a group, I think we've got a responsibility to help support university students, to let students know there is something else other than JCT contracts, because that's all that seems to be talked about in universities still to this day. So where you can, reach out to universities where you can in your professional capacity and offer to help, do guest lectures or whatever, but let's support the universities in their understanding that there is something else other than JCT out there. So that's all I wanted to say, really. Just welcome you for today's event. Hope you have a really good day. And I'd like to introduce the very first presentation. And we were very pleased to be able to secure HS2 as our keynote speaker. So I'd like to introduce Andrew Kubit to the stage. I'll just set his presentation up. But other than that, I'd just like to welcome him to the day. Thank you.